him from Father of the Bride, or Groundhog Day, or The Fugitive. If you have HBO, maybe you saw him recently on Curb Your Enthusiasm as the perturbed dentist. If you're a fan of great comedy, you know him from Strangers with Candy, or you know him from the wonderful Strangers with Candy, or you know him from the wonderful improv show on Wednesdays, TJ and Dave. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. David Pasquesi. Okay, Dave, best place to begin, I guess, would be the beginning. How did you get started in theater?
I tagged, my brother was going to a workshop. He was in law school and I was in college, and he was going to take improv workshops at the Players Workshop, and I tagged along with him.
Were you just hanging along, and he was his main design to do it, and you were just hanging out?
There's something to do, yeah. I was not, yeah, I had very few interests. And so my time was free, and so I decided to go down and check it out as well. And it was just really, I never had any, it's not like, I was never on stage before that. And I was what, 20?
What was about it what was it that clicked with you, that really said, hey, this is something I may want to do for a long time?
Well, it's fun. I very much enjoy it, and it seemed that, you know, I don't know, something that I'd never experienced before. It was really, I don't know. You can fuck around, and that's, you know, they kind of laud that. And that was the first time that I experienced that.
Players Workshop eventually led to Improv Olympic. How did that connection come about?
Well, I went through those classes and I got on stage. We did a little, you know, little sketch show at the end of their sessions.
Do you remember the name of that show?
No, I don't. Do you? Man, that would be great. Like I say, I was in college and I wasn't studying, you know, I wasn't in theater or anything like that. And I went back to college, and you know, I just continued on, and then I ended up in college having a roommate, Joel Murray. We ended up rooming together, and we ended up begging, you know, putting together a little act so we could get money for beer and drugs. And then, so we started working a little bit together. When we got back to the States, we continued this couple sketches and things like that. And then he was directed by his brother to find this Del Close, and I was the beneficiary of that advice to him. So we went together, and Del and Sharna were working out of Cross Currents over there on Wilton, and upstairs, and this is, so we ended up all, like, you know, he said, well, what do you go up and do a scene? And so we did a scene, and he said, all right, you can stay. And so I did, and I haven't left.
So what was Improv Olympic like at the time? How many people were directing?
What, like 20 people?
Yeah. The only teams beer and barracuda.
But like even before that, even before there was teams, we were doing these workshops upstairs, 20 people tops.
Yeah.
And trying to figure out trying to do this long form that we didn't know what we were doing, and trying to find a structure for it so that you could regularly perform a performance caliber in long form improvisation. So that's what we were doing up there, and there was a lot of, that took a lot of time before we ever got on stage in front of people. And that was really thrilling because nobody knew what was going on, and Del was not, you know, withholding that information. You know, he was saying, "Look, wow, let's keep trying it here. Well, this is what we shouldn't do. That didn't work too well. Let's try something else." And after a while, we ended up getting it so that we started performing it as a competition. Right? And the audience would vote, and we'd pay no attention to what they said.
What were the categories that we're voting on?
I don't recall.
Theme, intelligence, structure, and something else. Use of the suggestion, teamwork. Yeah, right.
Use of the suggestion, right.
What was the first team you were on?
I don't remember the name, but it was I was separated from Joel because we worked very well together, and I appreciate that because we worked well together, and I was very comfortable. And so Sharna put us on different teams, and I was on a team of when I first started, I'd never been on stage before, so I decided I needed stage time, so I started doing a lot of stand-up to get stage time, and actually that was my job, and I do stand-up, and then I come and improvise the other nights of the week. And so I was on a group of stand-ups, Jeff Jenna, Joey Gutierrez, me, I don't remember the other people. And we lasted for, I don't know, about 3 shows, because they're stand-ups. And then I made it over to Barron's, and then all those guys got hired at Second City. And then there was a new group of, we filled in those spots with other guys for Barron's Barracudas, and that was that.
And with Barron's Barracudas and the stand-up team, you guys performed at Cross Currents?
At Cross Currents, always, yeah. And then also we performed down the street at Gaspar's, which is now Shuba's, group of us called Herald Be Thy Name, which was basically Barron's. It's also silly, isn't it? Different names. We do a Herald for our show, and then we do a free sketch set.
That event, you were eventually hired by Second City.
I was.
How did that come about? Did you audition or?
I had auditioned previously, and then those other guys, like I say, they all got hired. That was it. That would hurt. So they all got hired, and I was told that I'd be the next one up. And there just wasn't a space. And then when they were on the road, they pulled the guy's arm out of his socket, and so there was a space for me.
The first show you did was at Northwest when Second City had the.
Yes, yeah, right. We were on the road, and our group on the road was basically Barron's. Right? It was Barnes and Joel and Beltzman and me. And then that was our company on the road, and then they gave us Northwest. They opened a place by the highway, gave us Northwest, and Fred Kaz directed us.
Did you enjoy that?
That was a blast, and we got to do our, because at that, I guess now the road companies at Second City do their own material, but that was the first time that we got to do our own material.
Mm-hmm. Eventually, you got moved onto the main stage for. Do you remember the name of the Northwest show?
Pieces of 88. I don't remember the or. Wait until dark? No, that was something else.
You did 3 shows on the main stage. How did you enjoy that?
That was a blast. That was a great time. That was a great time. The first one was supposed to be with Bernie, but he stopped. He quit. He didn't want anything. Okay. So so then we're up there without anybody, and so we asked if we could get Del, and Del came in and reassembled. People quit, and so he put together a group, and we had a great cast and a great show, I thought.
And what was the name of this show?
The Gods Must Be Lazy.
Do you remember who was in the cast?
Yeah.
Who are they?
Judy Scott, Holly Mortel, Joe Liss, Tim Meadows, Chris Farley, Joel Murray, and me.
That's great, and you got reunited with Joe. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Sharon asked me to mention that at some point during this time, you ended up living with Sharon.
I did. Prior to that, I was living in my car, and it broke down on Stockton over by North Avenue, and I had no, and I lived with Sharna and Gracie on Byron, right, for about a month or so. Sharna let me come and live in her place. Thank you.
After the 3 main stage shows at Second City, what happened then?
This. Then we're here. What happened? It's nothing.
How was working on Strangers with Candy with some of your Second City patriots, I guess?
Well, one of them's right there, Mr. Paul Danello, ladies and yeah, that was great. But before that, we worked. They had a show called Exit 57, which was a sketch show, and I got to work on that with them. And then, yeah, it was a blast. You know, that's where I find I don't get hired much, except by people I already know. And so that's, you know, that's one of the great things about all this is, you know, it's just really, it's a great group of people, you know, this improvisation thing. And for the most part, it's a great group of people. And I don't know, said it the other day, a while ago, he said something that, you know, when we were doing it, it was a road, a guaranteed road to nowhere. And so it had a different group, a different class of people. And it was great because they were, you were sure why people were doing it. And now it seems that it's certainly a lot more popular. So anyway, the group of people that I met through improvisation are the only people that I spend a lot of time with.
So after Strangers... you just came back from Ireland?
I just came back from Ireland. What a shithole. You Irish people here, you did the right thing by leaving.
You went to Ireland with the whole production of Glengarry Glen Ross, which you also did.
Yes, that's right.
And how did you like the performance besides Ireland?
It was great. It was great. It's a great show. It's a very good play. The cast was great, and the part I got to play is the, you know, the best part ever written. So it was a blast.
And the role you played?
Ricky Roma.
Great. Now, I spoke to you this afternoon about this, that I had heard years ago this rumor, which turned out to be a legend, that when you were at Second City, you were friends with a busboy named David Mann.
Yeah. And this afternoon was the first time I ever. Yeah, no, that's insane. I think. What's the deal? I think he was there maybe. I'm trying to think because I know Jarko did a show with him when he was an actor, and Jarko was at Second City, 10 years before me. So he would have done that play before that, and I know he was a busboy at Second City when he first moved, when he first got into Chicago. So that it just doesn't fit. He's an old man. Yeah, fuck you people for thinking that. I'm not that old. Whatever that was.
I'm glad we cleared that up.
Yeah.
You were on Curb Your Enthusiasm 2-3 weeks ago, and
Jeff Garland.
Jeff Garland.
It's his program. He's a friend. It is. You look at the credits. It's his program. friend, a guy, he was one of the guys I used to do stand-up with a long time.
And the dialogue in that show is improvised?
It is improvised, yes.
So how do they set up the scene?
They tell you what needs to happen. You need, you know, this is what happened, he's lied to you, or whatever, in my case. He lied to you, and you know it. And then that's it.
Neat.
It is cool, and he knows it's cool. It's a great way to work, and, you know, he understands that. Because, you know, he's got experience doing scripted shows, and this is just so much easier. But and he also understands that, you know, improvisation is something other than talking.
TJ and Dave.
I thought it was, yeah, I thought it was Jagodowski and Pasquesi. Now we're on first name basis?
I thought it was still Aunt Fran.
We're working on getting that changed. We were talking to people about getting it changed to Pasquesi.
That's been running for almost 6 months now. I'm just guessing. 8 months. Have you fun with that stuff?
Yeah, it's, yeah.
What's the best part about it?
Getting to do it. It's a blast. It's a great time. It's a great time. And it's a really, it's a great time. What's the best part about it? I don't know. He's pretty good, that guy. And that audience, the audience is just phenomenal. You know, they like it. You know, it's really a treat to be able to play around like that and have have people be patient, and you don't have to worry. See, because that's the stuff that that's what we were trying, when we were trying to figure out what to do. One of the things was to do slow comedy. That was what he was calling it. Do slow comedy. Slow it down. There's no rush. You got plenty of time. Don't make the jokes. Forget the jokes. Let them fill them in. You know, there was this idea of the missing joke. Make a joke on the one that you haven't said. And so that's what we get to do. And it's just, you know, you get to listen. You don't have to worry. There's no worry. There's no work. It's a great time. It's a highlight of my week.
And what can you tell me about this show? This rehearsal for the apocalypse. It's a 2-man show with you and Del. And this was first done in 1992.
First and only done in 1992. It didn't run more than a year. That we were doing, Del and I, we got to do a show together called The Conspiracy Trial over at the Remains Theater. And during that time, we spent a lot of time together. And around his kitchen table over on our scene, and we have these great conversations, and we decided to attempt that on stage, to just bring those conversations to the stage, because most of us think that excellent conversation is good theater. And so we attempted to do that, and it was a great time. It was a great time.
Most of the audience tonight, I'd say, didn't know Del at all.
Oh!
When you first met him, what was your first impression of him?
Oh, he's scary. He's scary. That was my first impression. I didn't have any, you know, I didn't know who he was. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't, like I say, I didn't come up thinking, boy, I want to do that. And, you know, I just didn't. That wasn't my experience. I didn't know anything about Del. This guy, this famous guy said, find him. And so we did. And because he had worked with him and he had nice things to say about him. So we get there, and I don't know who he is, and it's just, you know, it's a weird vibe in there, and also, you know, it's immediately understood. Then you start reading things, you see his name popping up in cool things, and then you start going back and you realize, well, this guy's done a lot for a long time. He's done a lot of really cool stuff for a very long time, so he knows what he's talking about. He's not some guy who has no practical experience and he's attempting to do this as an intellectual exercise. He knows what he's talking about. And he's been doing it for a very long time, so, all right, I will try to do what it is you're asking. And also, for the reason of, because I think you know what you're doing, and also I don't want to get yelled at by you. Because I think I would like to please you. Because I think quite a bit of you. Not just that I'm afraid, right? It's, you know, you want to impress those whom you respect. So, and then he reamed people too, which was great. Just great. And not unwarranted ever, and not like just one time somebody fucks up and so they get reamed. No, he gets he was great.
Were you ever reamed by him?
Yeah. No, I mean nothing major. I didn't get kicked out.
When you eventually became friends with him, obviously, it spawned the show. What was it like having Del as your friend?
Well, it's, you know, it happened a few times. Hey, I want to go up and give Del a call. And then you realize he's not the kind of guy who just chats, you know, right at about hello. You remember that? All right. This is going to be work. And that's what, you know, that's, a lot of it was the conversation with him were really hard work for me. He's a really, really bright guy. That was another thing. He was unbelievably intelligent. And at least to me, maybe to a real smart person, he's average. But to me, he was very, and so the active part of the conversation was in the listening, trying to figure out what the fuck he's talking about, because I know he's making sense. I just have to figure, it's my job to try to figure out how what he's saying applies to what I was talking about. And you know, so that's another, you know, the idea of listening being the active part. He's a great guy, too. He was a really nice guy. He was an asshole, too. But he was a really nice guy. He was a really nice guy.
When,
and he knew improvisation, and he loved improvisation.
yeah.
I mean, he really loved it. He, you know, no matter what he was doing, he worked a lot as an actor, and he was a really good actor. But he worked a lot as an actor here in town at the top, you know, the big name theaters. And we were just in Ireland, and these fucking hotshots are over there, talking about Del. Man, we did a show, Del was in it, and you know, these guys, these are hotshots, and they're talking about him like that. But no matter what he was doing, he was always at Cross Currents on Monday night, even though he was working, doing 8 shows a week. 8 crazy shows, you know. Great shows, hard work. He was there on Monday nights teaching class. He loved improvisation.
I'm going to rewind a little bit, and when you said now it seems that improv is more popular than it was before, do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing?
We'll see. I don't think so. You know, but that's great. You know, it's the kind of thing that you really want everybody to know about it, but then it loses its, you know, its underground nature, which is really one of the things that's lovely about it. That was lovely about it. It's great that it's great to, you know, it's great to have a room full of people on Wednesday nights. You know, that is the best. That's the cream of the improvisational audience in my mind. And I'm not joking. And because the audience is so much larger, the general audience is so much larger that that's really a nice part of it. But you know, but it was really cool because nobody, you know, and there's not any. It's fine. It's great. It's great that there's it's great. That's great. There's TV shows doing games. That's great. That's improvisation, right? That they're up there making yuckity-yucks and making the jokey jokes. That's great. That's improvisation. It's not improvisation. I don't know. That to me, that's great.
So, where would you like to see improv go then? What would you could just, someone gives you X amount of money, and Friday nights at 10:30 on NBC, at 10 o'clock it is.
Oh. Well, I do our show, what, we have it at Wednesday. Wednesday? No, Friday's no good. We're doing it on Wednesday. If you want to bring cameras, that's great. You know, I don't know that it belongs on, television. That's one of the things about it. The kind of improvisation that it interests me, I don't think it belongs anywhere but on a stage, quite frankly. Other things belong on television, like television shows. But I do believe that improvisation is, you know, and improvisation is not limited to actors, you know. It's a way of doing something. Musicians have been doing it for a long time, you know, and actors I know seem to be, it's a great thing to live like it, you know, regardless of what it is you're doing, but to improvise while you're doing it, to not pretend that you know what is going to happen next, because that's the truth, you don't know. So, anyway. That's what I think. Improvisation is a great religion. So
Okay, as a religion, give me 5 commandments for this religion.
Well, yeah, listen up. That's the one. Pay attention. Shut up. That's it. There's only 3.
You said it's not the kind of improv that interests when we talked about the yucky-yucks. Besides the Wednesday night stuff, what kind of improv interests you?
Nothing.
The type of improv for
I'm talking about for me to do.
Okay.
I like watching stuff.
Yeah.
But that's really about as close to what it is that I imagine should be done that I can get. So, I mean, the rest of it's fine. It's all great. Honestly, I do believe that. It's great. And you know, these audiences would not, you know, whose line in England, whose line here. It's great for this theater. And so it's a good thing. I do believe that. But I also think that something's being lost compared to what we were told was one of the functions, was to slow it down, to be something other than the mainstream comedy that was being offered at the time, and I think probably still is. To be an alternative to that, rather than to be that. So, and I don't think that's anyone's responsibility except for the individual, you know, the performer. Do whatever you think is right. That's what I think is right.
what kind of improv?
This is dreadfully boring.
It's not. What kind of improv do you like to watch?
To watch?
Would you watch Whose Line Is It Anyway if it's on TV? You sit down and watch that?
No. I like those guys. They're great improvisers. Colin and Ryan, they're great. It's just not, I'm not interested in I'm not interested in it, you know? I don't watch sitcom, I don't watch a lot of stuff. it's just not something that interests me, and I don't want to get that in my head. I really got to pay attention. I'm easily influenced, so I have to pay attention to what goes in. So if I watch a bunch of sitcoms, that's what's going to come out, and that's not what I'm in. You know, that's not what I hope to become. I don't hope to become that.
If you're easily influenced, what has been your greatest influence?
Well, I say Del was, you know, he's I spent a lot of time with him, so that I think is, gosh, this is, I spent a lot of time with him. That's a guy, you know, that was a great influence. I watch old movies. You know, Peter Sellers' fellow was great. I don't have any influences.
If it's okay with you, I'd like to open up to the audience for a few questions.
Absolutely.
Can you raise the lights a little bit? All right, right here.
What is your opinion of the stuff that like Christopher Guest and share with the
Great.
about the movies?
Those are great. I think those are great. Honestly. And you know, they got nominated for like an Oscar for best writing. They honestly did for best in show. Yeah, for best in show. And I thought that was hilarious. They were just laughing about it. Because no, but they don't understand yet. They really don't understand yet. They do think that improvisation is standing on stage and talking, or I don't know what they think, but they don't quite get it yet. But it seems to be coming.
Sammy?
Yeah, have you had a chance to see any recently see any improv shows or heralds, and what are your thoughts?
I have had a chance to see some recently. The thing that interests me most is to watch people listen to each other and respond honestly. That is why I don't watch a lot of other stuff, because other things are going on. It's not that they're doing it wrong, it's just they're not doing what I find interesting, you know? What I find interesting is what I just said. Not to be clever, necessarily. You can be clever as long as you do. Anyway, it's just me, you know? It's just me. It's all good, you know, they're all, what I see is very good, technically very good. And then there's two ways to think, you know, this is you can either not ask questions, don't say no, yes and. His yes is so strong, he doesn't need an and. I heard somebody say that, and I'm thinking, well, that's terrible. So there's that. We can do those things, and perhaps the scene will be good. Or you can just fucking listen to the person and pay attention to them, and those things won't have happened. Those things that you're trying to avoid while you're doing a good scene won't have happened anyway. So you can go about it two ways. Do the fucking thing right, or don't do it wrong. And I think the best way to do it is just do it right, you know?
Yeah, Dave, you said you had something was always like a door open by like a friend or something to every gig that you got. What was the one for the Steppenwolf?
It was a series of them. I did the show at Remains, the conspiracy trial. Amy Morton was an ensemble member there at the time. I ended up doing a show with her because of her later at another theater, and she ended up directing Glenn Ross, and she's the one who had me brought in, and she was a cheerleader for me. Because they don't hire guys like me. They don't hire them. But they're changing, you know? There was 2 Second City guys in that cast. It was great.
What do you mean by guys like me?
Guys, the Second City people were improvisers. Legit theater for a long time, you know, there was very, for whatever reason, there's very little crossover, and that seems to be changing. That's my experience anyway.
Could anything ever be offered to you that would be worth it to walk away from theater? If so, what would it be, and if not, why?
I don't know of it. I don't, why, because you asked what, if something would be better than it. I can't imagine it. Perhaps. Perhaps something's better. It isn't drugs. I know for a fact that's not better. So I don't know what it would be, and I don't know why I would ever not do it. It doesn't seem to be something that, I don't know.
Jim?
How did you and TJ find each other to do this 9-month-long run kick-ass show?
Was it the Improv Festival? Chicago Improv Festival, the year before this, so like 18 months ago, whatever that is. We ended up in a show, they put together a group, and it was Adsid, Corain, Mick, you and me. And it was a blast, you know, and that's the only improvisation I'd done for a while was those improv festivals. The first one was Adsit and Mick, the next one was, I had a great time, and Noah, right? I think so. Kind of said, well, would you be interested in doing this some more? Yeah, I'd be interested in doing it more if it was like this. But I didn't know of anybody because all the guys that were of my age aren't here. They all left town, so or they don't improvise anymore. And so I said, well, if it could be like that, I'd be interested in it. And TJ and I started talking about it, and we ended up postponing it a little bit, but we got on it.
Dave, could you talk about how you got into voiceover work?
Again, I just fell into that as well. You know, when you're an actor in Chicago, you go out on whatever they send you out on, and I ended up getting a couple jobs, and then I got a couple more. It's the same, but it's the same. I didn't pursue it. I didn't pursue it. It just came along.
You said that you had never been on stage before 20. I'm just curious, what did you think you wanted to do with your life before theater, and when did it occur to you? 20 still.
All I knew, yeah, and then I got on stage, and then I got off. I mean, I just did those workshops, and it was a couple of years before I actually got on stage again. All I was interested in was getting loaded for a very long time. That was, and whatever didn't seem to get in the way of that too much was okay by me. And this fit right in.
Did you study theater?
No, I never did a play in grade school. I never, like I say, I really never been on stage, and I studied philosophy in college.
And one more question?
How did your experience in improv affect your recent experience with Glengarry Glen Ross?
It's, you know, it's funny because there are these guys that are really good actors, and one of them was just saying, you hear him say things like, because Pete Burns and I, he's an improviser as well, we were doing a scene together, a big long scene, and you can hear the other people talking, these really good actors saying, those guys, like it's different every night, because they listen to the audiences. And that's all. That's what it does. That's, you know, I honestly believe that improvisation is the best training. I don't know. I've never been in acting school, but I can't imagine that it's anywhere near as good for you as being on stage improvising. I just can't imagine practicing these ideas and falling short. but practicing the idea of just listening to the other person just for this, however many minutes, just fucking listen to them. Because, you know, you can afford to do it here. You can afford to be a magnanimous human being for 10 minutes without any negative repercussions. I think it's the best training there is.
Okay, we're going to wrap things up, and we'll wrap things up in the tradition of Faranakian and Kakowski. What is your favorite curse word?
It's a few of them run together, but you fucking cunt.
What is your least favorite curse word?
They're all good.
Describe T.J. Jagodowski in one word.
Pretty.
What would be the title of your autobiography?
Huh?
I think we answered, but I'll ask you anyway. What is your favorite play to perform?
Oh yeah, that part. Yeah, I don't know that it would be my favorite play if it was a different part.
What is your favorite play that you have never been in but would like to be cast?
I don't know it. Oh, The Dumbwaiter.
That gentleman is very, very happy. When you die, many, many years from now, if there's a heaven and if there's a God, what do you hope to hear upon your arrival?
Finally, someone who gets it.
Thank you so much for coming inside the Improvisers studio. I'd like to take this special moment to thank Mr. Craig Kakowski for keeping this torch burning. And Craig, good luck and God bless in L.A. Thank Shauna Halford, she's right over there. And of course, all of you, thank you so much for coming. There will be another Inside the Improvisers studio before the end of this year. Keep your eyes posted. And for all the students, registration weekend is this weekend.